What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. I've had folks asking me to do this for quite some time, as I do a lot of high-end builds and a lot of things that you want to shoot for and things you want to get to. However, very rarely do I do progression builds or early game builds or just a general use build that you can use to progress through the game and get to the point that you want to get to. Now, there's tons of different shards in the game, there's tons of different mods in the game, and on the surface, it looks like there's just absolutely ridiculous amounts of variety, which there is. However, as you progress and learn through the game, you'll realize that the building blocks of all your defenses come down to really three basic things. You want to focus on the power of the defense and how much defense power that defense has. You want to focus on the range of the defense. You want to get to your happy spot as far as what range you personally are content with that works well with your builds. And the final but most important thing is you want to focus on defense rate. Now, the important thing about defense rate is, of course, the more times a defense attacks, the more damage it's going to do. It's much better to hit something 2 times for 10,000 than to hit it 1 time for 12,000. So defense rate is a crucial part of your game and will help you progress so much easier through Dungeon Defenders 2. Now, there's one big problem with defense rate, and that is, besides your ascension, you can't start working on your defense rate until you get to Chaos 3 and then ideally Chaos 4. Now, what I mean by that is, in the defense category on any primary damaging defense, every single one of them, your first points, you want to put into defense speed. You can put 20 points into defense speed and it is going to give you 35% attack rate. Now, something that is really a long-term goal and something that you really want to shoot for is getting to your defense speed caps. Now, every defense is a little bit different. If you inspect the defense and look at it, you see down next to attack rate, my Flamar attacks every 0.31 seconds, and then it says max next to it. So this is the max defense speed or attack rate that I can get to on this defense. Now, with the majority of damaging defenses in the game, the number you are shooting for here is 75%. Now, what I mean by that is you get 35% for free from your ascension with your first 20 ascension points. Well, after that, you're going to want to increase that range. Now, of course, one of the most popular shards, the rate, one of the most popular shards in the game, really, is defense rate. Defense rate is just amazingly important, and when we upgraded defense rate shard in its ungilded state, you see we are at 33% attack rate. Now, 33% plus our 35%, of course, is going to give us 68%. Well, most defenses require 75% to get to that speed cap, and you do really want to get to this when you can. However, you can get really close just using your ascension and the defense rate shard. Now, the defense rate shard, as you see, drops in Chaos 4 and really is a building block for just about every defense in the game. Now, since you can't get this to Chaos 4, what do you do prior to that? Well, you do have a chance of getting a defense rate mod in Chaos 3. Now, a defense rate mod is not going to solve the problem for you, but it will help quite a bit. Now, I don't recommend anyone that's progressing through the game grind Chaos 3 looking for defense rate mods. It's just kind of a waste of time, as soon as you get the defense rate shard in the very next tier, it's going to be GG for you, and of course you can move that shard around to whatever defense you feel like using that day. However, if you do locate a defense rate servo in Chaos 3, this can really help boost up your defenses. Now, to fully get to the cap, since defense rate alone is not getting you there, any quality defense rate servo, even a 1 out of 10, will get you to the speed cap on all towers. This, of course, being combined with a defense rate shard. So to get to the speed cap prior to having gilded shards or 10 out of 10 mods, you're going to need your 20 ascension points into defense rate, and then you're going to want the defense rate shard and a defense rate mod. Now, this is not 100% required, especially considering at this point you're progressing. So get through the game. Don't bother staying and grinding this stuff unless you just really want to. However, to get to the cap, you will need a mod and a shard plus your ascension. So what do you do prior to Chaos 3? Well, since you can't focus on defense rate, you can look at the other two major factors that you might have. Now, the range, of course, doesn't start dropping deadly strikes, as you see, Chaos 3. So once you get to Chaos 3, you can get deadly strikes, and this is going to make a massive, massive difference. Everyone that equips this for the first time is like, whoa, holy crap. Deadly strikes is good stuff. Once again, that doesn't drop till Chaos 3. So what do you do prior to Chaos 3? Well, the answer to that is there's only one thing left, and that is defense power. So destruction shards are going to start dropping in Chaos 1. Destruction is going to be the base building block of any defense. I can't really picture too many defenses out there that you're not going to want this shard in. Now, in addition to that, you can look at other mod sources that drop super early game. Mods like Power Servo and any of the elemental servos start dropping in campaign. So you can get a nice defense power boost out of an elemental servo or a power servo very, very early in game. Now, an elemental servo, of course, is going to attune your tower to that particular element, meaning it will take physical damage away from, say, cannonball towers and make it magic only. Now, super early in game, this should not be a huge concern. You're not really going to have to worry about whether or not you're using physical or magic damage until you start to climb an onslaught and get a little bit further in game. But super early, right from the start, you want to keep an eye out on destruction, and then the power servo and any of the elemental servos. So these items can all really help you get to the point where you're at that Chaos 3 and Chaos 4 mark, where you can start focusing on your range and your rate. Now, further on down the line, once you get all of these things dialed in, you want to fill in the gaps with anti-servos. Anti-melee servo like this one is extremely popular, as the majority of the mobs that come out are melee mobs. Now, one big thing about anti-melee servo is it does stack multiplicatively with other anti-servos, meaning if you use anti-melee and then say anti-chaos at the same time, these are going to stack and multiply on top of each other, creating just an absurd amount of damage. Now that, of course, comes later on down the road once you get those basics really reeled in. So as you progress through and as you're getting closer or into starting Chaos 7 and grinding out some of that Chaos 7 loot, your number one priority right out of the gates really should be defense rate. You want to get yourself to the speed caps or as close to the speed caps as you can, and on most defenses it is going to be worth losing a mod slot, even if it's only a 1 out of 10 mod, to be able to stack a defense rate shard and a defense rate servo. These are going to get any defense to the cap and make it really good game. Now, from that point on, the second thing I always say is you want to focus on your range. Now, range is going to be different for everyone. Some people are going to be really, really happy using super small defenses that are more powerful. And then other people, like myself and a lot of people out there, are going to want to stack on the range to get more hits in and better lane coverage. Now there's no wrong answer with it. A smaller range with more power can be just as effective as slightly less power and larger range. It's really personal preference and up to you. Now, like I said, I personally usually always go with the range, as the range is just good stuff and I love to see it. Now, other mods, such as like this Go Boo Boom mod, you will find these through the game. They can be extremely powerful early on. Mods like Melee Boom, Go Boo Boom, any kind of boom mod can be extremely powerful prior to, say, like floor 100 in Onslaught. The higher you climb in Onslaught, of course, the damage from these mods is going to start to fall off. However, as you're progressing, if you get a hold of a Melee Boom, a Go Boo Boom, any of the boom servos, you're going to see a huge impact into the damage on those lanes. So boom servos can be a very good thing for progression and are going to start to fall off later on. Now, I do realize that this video was kind of jumbled around a little bit. I mainly just wanted to get out there to you all that when you're building your defenses, and I'm talking about any primary damaging defense, obviously a wall is not going to have the same priorities, or a utility defense like a boost aura or a frostbite tower are not going to have the same priorities as well. But any primary damaging defense in the game, you just really have to focus on the big three. Now, once you get the big three dialed in, of course being defense power, defense range, and defense rate, then you can start looking on to other things like boom servos and antis and capping out your defense rate and any other way to stack more power. Focus on these three mods. Don't let the abundance of mods that you see falling and the abundance of shards that you see dropping get you confused. Realize that these are and should be your priorities to progress through the game. So hopefully this helps answer some questions that you might have about building basics and setting up just a general build for your progression and your experience in Dungeon Defenders 2. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask down in the comments below, and I will do my best to get them answered for you. Now, don't forget, today is Friday, and I'm really hoping we're going to get some DD2 news. Now, as of the publishing time of this video, we don't know if we're going to get any news today. If we do get it, it's going to come in the form of a chromatic live stream starting at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, over on Chromatic's Twitch page. The link will be down in the description below. Now, I will be streaming right after for my normal Friday stream. If Chromatic streams, I'm going to start at 1 p.m. as soon as they're done, 1 p.m. Pacific time. If Chromatic does not stream, then I will be live right at noon with some DD2 hotness. So make sure you swing by and say hello. And then, once again, don't forget to ask any questions you might have down in the comments. So hopefully everyone's having a fantastic week. Don't forget to click that like button and please subscribe. And I will see you next time with some more Dungeon Defenders 2. Thanks again.